the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Bristol Motor Speedway. It's the site of the PRL NASCAR Cup Series playoff opener, season 4 of 2023. You see dirt in the background, but we're actually on the asphalt, the concrete, I should say, of Bristol Motor Speedway. Going to be a lot of fun once we get going here tonight. 10 races, 4 rounds. The round of 16 will begin with 16 drivers vying for the Precision Racing League Championship in the NASCAR Cup Series season. First one of season 4 for all PRL affiliated events. I'm joined alongside Joe Peak. My name is Dylan Coyle. Excited to bring the action live here. And Joe, excited to get going with you for this season 4 opener.
Yeah, it's great to be back here at Bristol, getting to call the action, because, I mean, it's like they say, it's Bristol, baby. So you get all kinds of wild stuff happening. It's unpredictable. This is a good opportunity to try to work your way through other people's misfortune to maybe snag a surprise win or, just a good result.
Yeah, it's going to be very important to start the playoffs on a good, positive note, We see this season 4 schedule with Bristol opening it up. We follow the exact same NASCAR Cup Series schedule through to Phoenix, but where NASCAR in the real world finishes their season at Phoenix with the championship race for all 3 of its national series, we continue on. Kansas Speedway will be the final race in the round of 8, while Chicagoland Speedway, a track that has not been used in NASCAR competition in a number of years, it will serve as the championship race for this season. And there's a lot of drivers who you'd expect to be competing for that title in the playoff standings. If you're Trent Dinkle, I don't even know if you have to worry about racing in the round of 16 or even performing well. Plus 90 points heading in to round 1 in the round of 16. Abner Acosta, 66 points to the good. Pat Harvey, Chris Hudson, James O'Brien, over 40 points to the good. And then you start to get a little bit congested there with Joshua Daniels, Luke Christian, Jose Acosta, Waldo Walden, Robert Beasall Jr., and then everyone from 11th on back to 16th separated by just 3 points. Eric Papanow, Robert Gamble, Jose Medina, Richard Pruitt, Jay McDonald, and Tom Macy, who serves as 16th and the last one in this playoff field. Want to make sure everybody knows who our partners are with the Precision Racing League. Advanced Sim Racing is owned and operated by passionate sim racers. It designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seats. Mechasim Hardware. Mechasim Hardware is a small company from Czechia, and their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you are looking for high-end pedal sets, handbrakes, or sequential shifters, visit Mechasim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed. Muradness. It's a performance lifestyle brand, and it's motivated by motorsport. Muradness is founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit muradness.com. And finally, Mr. Hedge Sim Racing Photography. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography lets you capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. It's a great addition to any sim room. Once again, thank you to all of our partners here with PRL and RaceSpotTV. You can find all PRL action this year in past races, past seasons, and future seasons on RaceSpotTV. Qualifying is underway, and it's going to be an interesting one, an interesting field as we start to see everyone set their lap times. Paul Bergoli sits atop the board, just 7 thousandths ahead of Trent Dinkle. The low line seems to be the way to go for these fast times, at least in qualifying runs. You don't really have to worry about your tires whatsoever. It's going to be a lot of fun here, and Joe, Bristol is going to be 225 laps of wild time, also a 1 hour 30-minute time barrier. So, as Robert Beasall Jr. gets Wayne's, but well, that lap time will not count. That hour and a half, 225 lap counter, I feel like, especially if cautions start to build up with a fairly large field early in the runs, that's going to start to be in the back of everybody's minds.
Yeah, absolutely. Bristol is definitely one of those tracks where you have to keep track of that. You have to really keep mind of it. If you've got someone on the box, make sure that they're watching that clock. Otherwise, you've got to be multitasking a little bit inside the car. Make sure and check to see how much time is left, because they could easily run out, like you said, when you have too many cautions and whatnot. And it's so easy for those to just start building, especially early in the race when you still have so many cars involved. Later on, if attrition has played its toll, sometimes it'll start to get a little greener, but that can also be countered by the fact that if drivers are feeling more antsy towards the end and you have had a lot of cautions, they might be driving a little bit above their ability and cause some of those accidents.
Seeing Maverick Davis right now, who is his lap time didn't count for some reason, so he is still looking for some fast times. Actually, and I can tell you exactly what that reason is. Maverick Davis I believe is one of the drivers who will not be allowed to set any qualifying time. So he's not even, he's just using it as some practice rounds. A few drivers hit with penalties at the end of the 2023 third season coming into this one, who and it's very interesting as we see some drivers like Jose Acosta unable to set lap times and will start at the back here, as we see William Brennan's lap time go up in smoke, hits the wall, and that's going to be qualifying session over for him. 28 out of the 32 cars set to start in this race have taken to the grid. Only Edward Sanchez is still running any lap times. He just crossed the line. I don't think it's going to count. Yeah, he's just using this as practice laps. It's a good thing that these cars, they can be damaged and patched right back up in around 2 seconds time here in iRacing. But the field is set. The grid is ready to go. 4 drivers, I should say, did not qualify for this race, did not set lap times. 2 of them, of course, with penalties. 2 of them, they want a challenge for themselves. Paul Bergoli will lead the field to the green, gets the pole here with a 14.438, 2.7 hundredths faster than Trent Dinkel in the number 9 machine. Pretty impressive for Bergoli. James O'Brien and Luke Christian will round out row 2, while Abner Acosta and Pat Harvey will fill out the first 3 rows. And as we continue down throughout the rest of the top 10, Robert B. Saul Jr. and Mike Witt are row 4, while Regan Chandler and Richard Pruitt round out the top 10. Chris Hudson and Friedrico A. Winterhalter will be in 12th, Joe.
It's going to be Daniel Cranefoos starting in 13th. He's going to be flanked by Chad Kibbe down there in P14. Chris Vincent then on the inside of the next row with Josh Daniels next to him. Josh was looking very fast in practice, so he might be slightly out of position here in 16th. Colton Easterday will be starting 17th and Jay McDonald in 18th. From there, Bradley Moore starts in P19 and to his outside of row 10, it is Park Hilliard. Eric Papineau starts 21st. Then you've got Tristan Callahan in the 22nd position. Jose Medina and Tommy Brandon are then in 23rd and 24th.
We continue moving down the starting grid with Edward Sanchez in 25th, Nathan Deering 26th, Nicholas Collender in 27th, and Tom Macy in 28th. That's the last of the cars who set a qualifying time. Landon Mills, Jose Acosta will start 29th and 30th, while Maverick Davis and William Brennan 31st and 32nd. 225 laps at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's the last great Coliseum. Either going to be an hour and a half or those 225 laps. It's under the lights as well. Almost 8 o'clock actually in sim time, with 77-degree Fahrenheit ambient temperature in the air, 80-degree track temperatures. I'm sure it's going to cool down maybe a little bit as the race progresses, but not much. It's pretty ideal circumstances for having quick lap times and not wearing the tires down too much. 0 fast repairs as per usual. You get a 5 tire set limit in this race. You can switch to new tires 4 times in the pits. Joe, chaos, is that what you're expecting?
A little bit of it at the very least. I think we're going to see drivers get into one another at some point in this race. You'd be absolutely shocked if it wound up going green the whole way. So you really have to be prepared for the unexpected, and you have to be flexible with your strategy.
I would certainly be shocked as well, as the pace car brings us down the backstretch for the final time before we get going here. The opening race in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series Season 4, the playoff opener. It's the round of 16. Paul Bergoli, he's surprising a lot of drivers right here. He leads the field to green. We're underway. Dinkel on the outside will try to get a good run, but he holds it up, and Bergoli just shoots out in front.
Yeah, it's going to be important to have that track position here, not because of difficulty in passing, although it is a little bit tough, but just trying to stay out of the mess ahead of you since things happen so fast. There's almost always no
Oh,
place to
Harvey
go.
is spinning right in the middle, and no one gets collected, but they all start to just back it down. Some others spin into the inside wall, and that was definitely an accordion effect. Pat Harvey is all good. The 95, though, is not into the wall, and not sure how Colton Easterday found his way there, but he certainly will lose a lot of spots for that one and potentially a lap.
Yeah, that was the 24 of Bradley Moore that kind of gave him a tap as everybody was kind of checking up. That goes back to what I was just talking about when that unfolded. It's so hard to stay out of trouble because even if you are paying attention ahead of you, suddenly things can unravel so quickly. So watch here. You're going to see the spin start. You're right. Everybody did a really good job initially to try and stay out of it, but the 95 just as he checked up, just got that tiny little tap, and that's all it took, and it sent him to the bottom, and now he's going to have to climb his way back through the field.
Yeah, and my concern is that right now he's showing as one lap down. He's the only car one lap down, so if a quick caution came out here, he would be back on the lead lap as the free pass, the lucky dog here. But unfortunately for him, by the time he was able to blend back into the lineup, it was right when the leaders, Paul Bergoli and Trent Dinkle, came flying by. So he's going to be caught and sent to the back of this restart order here. Did not even get through half a lap before the chaos started. Or actually, we did. A lap and a half, I should say. These laps go by very quickly here at Bristol Motor Speedway. But Paul Bergoli, a non-playoff driver, he's got a lot of speed, and he certainly got off to a great jump there. I'm sure he's a little bit upset that he wasn't able to see if he could stretch that lead out for a number of laps there.
And, you know, it's not just the racing laps that go by quickly. It's also those laps that are pacing, which means if you have damage, it's going to be even harder to try and get those repairs because you'll be able to get in pit lane, maybe just get a tiny little bit of it banged away on, and then you have to dash right back out if you want to stay on the lead lap. Don't be surprised if we see a lot of cars go a lap down here.
Yeah, would not be surprised at all. But to start to see cars go a lap down, we need to see some lengthy green flag runs. And Easterday did not have that much damage as we see our first onboard of Trent Dinkle. I was going to say that's not Abner Agasa, that's Trent Dinkle. Always sporting that exact same look, the exact same getup from race to race. And, you know, I had to ask him at the end of last season if he washes, you know, that shirt, because it gets a lot of use and a lot of airtime. He certainly knows how to thank his partners and his team and get that good marketing to use. You know something about that, Joe?
I know how to read an ad, but I've never had to be on the other end of thanking sponsors with a good result, and part of that's probably because I just don't get good results. But these guys are really good here in the Cup Series. You have to work your way up to try and race in this one. So this is a lot of heavy talent here.
A lot of heavy talent. Paul Bergoli, surprisingly, has never won a PRL anything race. He's got a great shot here. It's a question of if he's able to save these tires and get those good brakes. He gets a good jump here as we get back underway at Bristol on lap 8 of 225. Everyone a little bit more spread out here as we get back to full speed action. Trent Dinkle right in behind Bergoli. Luke Christian right on Dinkle's bumper.
Watch that high line start to be the desired one, though, as this goes on. I'm seeing a lot of drivers trying to run low, but you mentioned it earlier. You can wear out the tires easily. It's going to be very loose coming off the corner as well with that. So drivers are going to start to migrate northward.
Look at Federico Windsor-Holder. He's trying to go that high line, or at least the middle line. He started in 12th. He's already up to 4th. He is flying right now. I agree with you 100% as Eric Papanow gets that fastest lap, as we have only a few green flag laps so far, so he's going to be the one to get that. I expect that same exact thing. That high line, Dinkel goes up there now. Winterhalter goes down to the bottom to try to get past Dinkel as Christian's gotten past him. It's the better line if you want to save tires, but also at the start of a run, that's the best opportunity to make passes. So it's kind of, you're trying to play on the edge, right? Sometimes you got to go a little bit over the edge. Sometimes you got to stay a little bit back behind the edge. Right now, if you're Paul Bergoli, I think you can afford to be a little bit lesser on those tires, but Luke Christian's coming at you quick.
I know if it was me, I'd be thinking long-term here, because even if you do get the cautions, unless you're losing a lot of places, you might as well hold on to your stuff for a while and just play the long game. Until you really have to start being up at the very, very front, just kind of chill in those top 10 and see what you can do, because you have to remember, you do have a tire limit in this series, so you don't want to chew them up early.
Lots of action going on a little bit farther back around the cusp of the top 10 as Chad Kitty tries to go on the outside. Right in front of him, I think it was Richard Pruitt who got up into the wall coming out of turn 4. You know, Bristol Motor Speedway, it's not exactly symmetrical. It's hard to kind of, show or explain, but you get that feeling when you drive it, and then when you look at the map, when you're loading into any iRacing session, it is a little bit of a weirdly shaped track. It's a little bit, harder on the exits coming out of, say, turn 1 and 2 than 3 and 4. The angles are just a little bit different, and that can catch you out sometimes.
Absolutely it can. Whoa, and speaking of being caught out, Dinkel with Frederico there up towards the front. Those two were fighting side by side, and the 52 made him look like he was standing still, but here we're in that mid-pack with the 18 still fighting hard, and we're starting to see a little bit more of a spread of drivers going up and down the hill.
It's not often you see Trent Dinkel not being up front as this race starts to get going. We'll watch his race with great interest, as a once Sith Lord once said, but before he was known to be that. I'm a nerd for Star Wars. Lap 21 of 225, and we see a lot of battles going on all throughout the field. This one a little bit farther back with Edward Sanchez in that number 30 car. Right with him was the 18 of Chandler, and Chandler started in 9th but has fallen way back to 22nd. Jose Medina, one of those drivers that really needs to have some good runs here. Remember, was involved in that lap 2 caution and had to go all the way in the back of the field, running right now in 25th, trying to find some positions going forward, some positive momentum. We talk about some drivers who have had positive changes, negative changes from the start of this race. I know it hasn't been a lot of action, but we've seen some pretty big shifts here from the drop of the green flag. I mean, we're talking like double-digit movers, both going up the field and back to the back of the field. Maverick Davis, the highest driver who did not qualify. Remember, he had a penalty from previous races. Well, he started 31st. He's battling around the 19th to 18th place spots.
Exactly, and I think we also had a change.
We did.
Christian ahead of Bergoli up there, so starting to see a little bit of an ebb and flow, maybe depending on what kind of pace either people want to run or what they've set up with their stuff underneath them.
Yeah, great catch right there. It was a pretty easy move that was done right as lap 22 turned to lap 23. So Bergoli just kind of running in second right now. A bit of a gap between him and Christian is forming. He's got a bit of a gap between him and Winterhalter. We see Luke Christian in the lead right now, is hands 9 and 3 positions. If you were watching the real-world NASCAR Xfinity Series race on Friday night, you might have seen popular iRacing driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. making a bit of a show in the race at Bristol. But if you looked at his in-car camera, he had to turn the wheel. He had his hands on the same side of the wheel all the way to the left, or Yeah, it was to the left. It was very interesting. You don't always see that kind of style of turning the wheel, but a lot of fun to see him, and the fans enjoyed seeing him back in NASCAR competition. He'll be back in that 88 car for Junior Motorsports. Would you get that in Homestead, Miami?
And we're watching the 5 here. Now, Abner Acosta is known for being pretty quick. So I was a little surprised to see him where he was, but now he's kind of climbing back upwards. He's hovering between 6th and 7th here, but he's fighting hard with Chad Kibbe there on the high side. Kind of surprised that he is fighting this hard for this long, because eventually, like I said, he's going to want to try and get up to the high side maybe a little bit and try to work on the long term. They've been going at it for a number of laps here. But pay attention to Acosta, especially towards the end of the race.
Yeah, Kibbe is on that outside line, loses momentum on quarter entry, but then flies up ahead down these short straightaways. I always would prefer to have the momentum. If you're running down the inside, you're going to use more of that rubber up, I feel like, if you're trying to make a move. And also, I'd rather be fighting at one point rather than just trying to maintain position or defending. Kind of the move as Kibbe was closed off there from James O'Brien. He wanted to get a move done. You watched the Formula One race earlier today or wherever you were. It was around 12 hours ago. We saw Mercedes make a strategy call to try and do just that, go on the attack instead of just maintaining or being on the defense. Chad Kibbe getting a little bit squirrely there, but still battling with Abner Acosta. These two just cannot seem to get away from each other. And a bit of a, I wouldn't say update, but an interesting thing about these playoff standings and how they're calculated. Of course, there's no stages throughout any of the races in PRL competition. So to kind of, work around that, you get 6 points for winning a race, 3 points for finishing races as Kibbe gets loose. Ooh, that was scary. 3 points for finishing races in 2nd through 5th, 1 point for finishing 6th through 10th. You get 15 bonus playoff points for the highest race point scorer from Season 1 to Season 3. Of course, these bonus points carry over to the start of each playoff round, and they still accumulate these playoff points during the playoffs themselves, and that's why Trent Dinkel has such a commanding lead on everybody else, that he could pretty much sleepwalk his way, not just through the round of 16, but probably through the round of 12. He's had 10 wins in the first 3 seasons. 33% of the races that we've run at PRL Cup Series competition has been won by the guy behind the number 9, and he's starting to threaten right now because he's up into 2nd behind Luke Christian.
Yeah, so Trent Dinkel making himself a bit of a threat here. We saw Christian take that lead and try to scamper away. Wonder if he used up a little bit too much rubber, and now he's starting to pay the price. Because remember, Trent was kind of back there, and yes, he was making moves, but maybe just saving some pace here, because we're now getting well into the stint, 44 laps into this.
Maverick Davis moving up the order as well into 13th at the tail end of this entire lead group of cars. We have not seen any lapped cars get into the mix yet, which is honestly, I don't know if it would be quite surprising. All of these drivers have pretty equal machinery. It's not like, oh, as Kibbe goes into the wall, right behind Dinkel, and this battle for the lead, Kibbe hit the wall hard. His right side smacked against it. He still continues on, though. We'll have to watch that, monitor that situation.
Right now, though, we still got the cameras on the 33 and the 12 trying to fight out for that 3rd position. And O'Brien is going to try and follow the 9 through. Here we go, battle for the lead. So Dinkel's now on the attack.
Yeah, Dinkel might have caught the wall just barely with his right rear quarter panel, but it's not going to slow him down at all. He takes the lead. First lap led on the night for the number 9 machine. That was lap 48 that he led. Luke Christian now getting passed around the outside by James O'Brien. Has a little bit of a run. As we look back at Mike Witt, Further back in the field, that 88 throwback Gatorade machine. Always fun to see that car get in action, trying to make moves down the inside here. And we swap back to that lead battle with Luke Christian trying to stop the bleeding ever so slightly.
Yeah, but the 5 is already on top of him, so he's going to have his hands full. Another case of you're seeing some drivers moving forward and some of them moving backwards, and that's probably going to be a talking point all night long. So far, I think he's got a good job, done a good job kind of settling in here. And they're still running the low line, which surprises me a little bit. Most of the front runners have been doing that. Farther back in the field, I've been seeing drivers jumping up high. Now the 5 is going to try that, but they've also got another problem. Lap traffic is happening.
Yikes, yeah, you're spot on about that. This is the first bit of lap traffic we've seen on the day. And we're starting to see a bunch of drivers actually deal with some incidents a little bit farther back in the field. By the way, Landon Mills is going around into Jose Acosta. Caution has flown. Mills could not handle that loose race car, was running just outside the top 10, hit the wall, came back down. Jose Acosta was already a lap down. My goodness, that was a hard hit.
There was a little help with it, though. The 55 kind of started all of this. I went back and checked, and that was the contact that kind of kicked it all off, along with the lap traffic. There you can see him getting the 25. Once he's loose, like you said, just couldn't hold on to it. And unfortunately, with the car kind of bouncing around, everybody was trying to scatter, and not everybody made it.
Jose Acosta has had a nightmarish start to this race. At this point, you know, he was trying to experiment with things, but he went a lap down early, and not qualifying has not helped him at all. So we expect everyone on the lead lap to come into the pits. Might see some of the drivers a lap down. Only 3 of them maybe take a wave around. Here's another replay of what happened. So yeah, a little bit of it on trying to split the middle there, and Mills saves it momentarily and then loses it. Not really his fault. I can't blame him. It's hard to control a loose handling race car when the tires are lit up and hot and you're already mid-corner at that point. So pit stops here. Who wins the race off pit road? Maverick Davis missed his pit box, so that's going to be a rough go for him. First out of the pits is Trent Dinkle, followed by James O'Brien, Luke Christian, Paul Bergoli, and Abner Acosta. No surprises there.
And you're talking about the difficulty in trying to catch these cars. Let's not forget, this is an incredibly fast track for its short lap length. So they're going at some pretty high speeds, and on top of it, this banking is progressive, and there's some pretty significant shifts going from the straightaways to the corners. So there were so many forces that he was dealing with there, not just trying to save the car itself, but this is an unusual one, and everything was really stacked against him in that situation. It would have been phenomenal if he had caught it. I mean, like highlight-worthy stuff if he had saved that car, because that's a really tall ask.
So I mentioned that Maverick Davis had missed his pit box. He was running around the cusp of the top 10. Of course, could not qualify in this race. Started 31st, second to last position, was just storming through the field. And as of right now, he's in the very back of the lead lap, lost all that progress because he had to come right back down pit lane to get into his pit box. That's a rough go. I think he'll still be on the lead lap, however. Landon Mills is currently being scored as 1 lap down, along with Jose Acosta. And Edward Sanchez 2 laps down. I believe he has left the race, leaving 31 cars still on track. Pace car has collected everybody up at front. They've all gotten 2 by 2 all the way through the field. Coming out of turn 4, this is Trent Dinkle's race to restart. He gets the jump, and he is away with James O'Brien just behind lap 60 of 225.
Watch Brigoli, though, here around the outside. Oh, I thought he had the momentum. He's going to get a little close there with O'Brien. Again, I feel like he's got the right idea, trying to make up some spots, going where everybody else is not. Well, they're trying to hug that low side. Might as well try to open things up, go up wide.
The only thing you don't want to do, though, is go 3 wide. That always will hamper at least one driver's line, if not all 3 drivers, and I think that's what he was dealing with. He wanted it to get a bit strung out on the inside in front of him, just like right now. He doesn't want to go around the outside of James O'Brien, but that's also costing him. That's a risky move to try and do, but if he doesn't at least, just stay where he is, he's going to lose positions just, one by one.
Christian back ahead of Dinkel now, so he's given that spot away, letting him run away just like he did before. And are we going to see a repeat? By the way, William Brennan got a black flag for unsafe pit exit. He's since gone back into the pits, and he might have actually taken the car behind the wall. I'm not sure here.
Yeah, Brennan did not get any qualifying laps laid down. I think he hit the wall multiple times and had issues there, so wasn't the night for him. You're right, though. Luke Christian has broken free of Trent Dinkel for right now as we follow along with this wonderful camera work. RaceSpotTV, we always try to give you what you want to see, as this is fun. You get a little bit dizzy, though. That's how I felt in the pits this weekend, just trying to look at. I just ended up looking at our TV screen on the pit box.
Yeah, they go around very quickly, and this little group here just ahead of just behind Josh Daniels, rather. That's Trent Dinkel already down to 4th. But like I said, I'm pretty sure from what we saw last time, he's trying to play the long game.
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all for Trent Dinkel. As long as James O'Brien doesn't get into the back of him, that was some pretty quick, reflexes there to not go into the rear of Dinkel, but it does cost O'Brien at least one position, might cost him another position, as Winterholder is right there as well. I think what we haven't seen from Dinkel yet is that short run speed, because he hasn't really focused on it. It's a long race, so why bother now unless you want to use those tires up? Pretty much everybody in the field is now on their second set of fresh Goodyear tires, 4 rubber tires, left front, left rear, right rear, as if you didn't know directions on a car. But they all have that on them. They've got 3 more sets of tires they can just slap on these bad boys, and I don't think they'll have issues with making it to the end, as long as they're not trying to gamble or thinking that 15 green flag laps is too much.
A little bit more of that lap traffic lane, and Mills now trying to stay out of everybody's way, doing a decent job of it. But again, he's so off the pace here. You can see how much it's causing this checkup, and everybody's having to try and alter their line pretty quickly. That's where problems happen, just like the 88 in the background there.
Mike Witt, they're going 4 wide. You can't go 3 wide. I guess that means you can go 4 wide. That's what happened for a quick moment while Mike Witt slowed down. Wasn't sure exactly what happened. I think he rode the wall a little bit there.
Got away with it. And Landon, I think, is in the wall. Sounds like we got a wreck. And yes, indeed,
no.
He collects Hillard.
This is not something I'm used to seeing with Landon Mills at all. These issues and these mistakes, and Mills is usually one of the faster drivers in the field. He's actually going to be at Texas Motor Speedway this week. He won a competition to make sure that Kyle Weatherman's Xfinity Series car, he designed the scheme for them this weekend. So that team, so excited for him. Tristan Callahan has a meatball, so he's gonna have to take it back to the pits. Here's the replay. Mills just gets into the wall, rides it, can't get out, and there's just nowhere to go. I mean, that's a second issue that Mills has been a part of. First one, you can't really blame on Landon at all, but This day has gone from bad to worse to I really don't want to think about it at all.
And the awful news for Callahan with that meatball flag. For those not familiar, that's the black and orange flag means that your car is unsafe. You must take repairs. And in iRacing, if you don't take those repairs, you're going to be DQ'd, and you cannot exit the pits until you've done those required repairs. So he will be stuck down there for however long that takes to get back out on the track. So he's for sure going to be multiple laps down.
In the midst of all the craziness, we did miss another pass for the lead. Abner Acosta has passed everyone and made sure he put that number 5 machine into the lead. Private Label, everyone's looking really fast tonight, but are we really shocked?
I mean, Private Label is almost always fast, if I'm honest.
Right.
It's rare that they're not quick out there. Something has to be going really wrong for them not to have at least a couple cars towards the top. As we take a look here at the 67, just kind of cruising in line right now. They're in the mid-pack. So once again, we get checked up a little bit. We have another one of our cautions, but not seeing anybody duck down into pit lane. Still a little bit too early, it looks like. We are getting
an interesting camera.
Oh, yeah, it is. Very fisheye. Very. I mean, interesting that you bring that up as well, too, because we saw, I can't remember who it was we were looking at earlier, but I mean, the emotions when it comes to the racing here in the sim, so real. And I think it was Harvey that we were looking at in that situation. It's you know, you don't have as many of the G-forces affecting you, and yes, there's less money on the line, but the pressure and the emotions are just as intense here in sim racing, and it shows whenever you see the drivers. It means the world to these guys.
Yeah, I mean, there is a thing for pride too, right? It doesn't matter
and
what
ego.
kind of competition, and ego for sure. I mean, whenever I race, I'd like to think that I've got a bit of an ego, but that ego is because I'm running in 10th, not 11th, you know? So top 10s are what we look for, or
yes.
Top 30s, trying not to wreck out of the race. These guys are fighting up front and for championship, not just this season, but over the course of 2023 as well. Abner Acosta will get a good jump. Joshua Daniels starting 16th, right behind, but Luke Christian looking for a place to go. Chris Hudson fighting alongside the 52 of Winterholder as well. You see Acosta get a little bit squirrely. Christian is fighting alongside the whole way.
He's got a good run there. Thought he was going to be clear, but yeah, the 43 just hanging on. This will probably do it if he wants to chop down. No, he's going to ride the high line. And the Hudson going to try and see if he can just hold with him, but now he's got to give up the ghost.
Big thing here is with this tire saving, some of these drivers kind of partaking in. I don't think fuel is ever going to be a concern in this race. You'd need a long run, and even before fuel became a thought that these drivers would have to ponder, it's going to come down to the tires first. I don't even know if the tires are going to make that huge of a difference, other than, you know, if they're a lot fresher over the course of the final runs, kind of like what we saw again on Friday in the Xfinity Series race with Justin Allgaier having the speed from 30-lap pressure tires. Then maybe is that the 84 getting up into the wall pretty hard? Yeah, that was. So 84, everyone's getting up into the wall. It's just inviting.
Yeah, now we're seeing it migrate up to the top side, and you're right. Traditionally, this is a tire limited race, and today, the way that the yellows are unfolding, it absolutely will be. It's going to be down to who makes the right call at the right time. We could still get a long green flag run. It's just there you go. We get another yellow right now. But again, based on what we're seeing, I wouldn't bank on it. Looks like the 15.
Oh, no, Maverick Davis.
Yeah. So something happened on the straightaway, because that was on the entry into the corner that we was parked down there.
Yeah, Davis another one who had a really good day going, and he was again on the cusp of a top 10 spot. He's going to have to sacrifice that and go for it all again, this time with some damage. We'll get the replay here. Coming out of turn 2. Oh, our turn 4. Witt gets down into him, and that just sends Davis going down the inside wall, hits that pit wall. Good job on Davis locking up the brakes, though, because as we see so often at Bristol Motor Speedway, if you go careening into that inside wall, you'll bounce right back up the banking going into corner entry. Well, Davis saved not just others, but honestly his own car himself. Stays on the lead lap, and he'll come down trying to get some repairs, potentially, or we'll try to ride this out. Here's where pit strategy might be a thing for some of the cars in the back if you did not take any tires as Davis is going into the pits. I wonder if everyone's going to just stay out, and Mike Witt's going down into the pits as well, so 2 cars involved in that incident are the only ones from the lead lap that are pitting.
I'm a bit surprised at Mike Witt because it didn't look like that hard of a hit for him, but he's heading in now, and he doesn't have a meatball flag, so he could have stayed out if he wanted to. Maybe just trying something different, because we've seen him get into trouble a couple times now in the middle of the pack. So maybe he figures, okay, let's just send it to the back, let's go off strategy and see what happens from there.
Love hearing some of the race control information being given down. You guys, unfortunately, watching the broadcast cannot hear it. We can from Nick Hunter, who is also in our ear in our chat box, telling us what the case is of multiple issues. Some drivers getting black flags, and Landon Mills, who is multiple laps down, entered the wrong pit side. We've seen that a few times in this race, and this is a single pit entry. At every moment, you need to go into the pits, entering in turn 2 and coming out, exiting turn 1. It's not like in green flag action in, again, I keep referencing the real world where you can go in at either pit entry except under caution. No, here, doesn't matter. You've got to go and enter off of turn 2. So can be quite congested, and you can go a lot of laps down if you have to come in during green flag runs. But we got the one to go, and we're going to go back to green flag racing on lap 94. Joshua Daniels up 14 spots. He's restarting first row on the outside. Been impressed with him so far, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. And not really shocked, because I remember Josh being definitely one of those fast drivers whenever I see him on the track. Question is, how is he going to play this on the restart, especially with Acosta to his low side? We've seen Dinkel try to hold his cards close to his chest while others try to run ahead, but the 5 is one of those that is doing a similar strategy. So will he drop back here?
We will have to see. Green flag once again. Acosta, another good jump. That inside line and the leader, they've been getting going really easily, but Joshua Daniels will cross over, go down the inside, has to pull up a little bit as Acosta took the air off him. Yeah, it's not a huge aerodynamically important track, but if you do take the air off in a brief moment, you can get a little bit tight.
Yeah, you still need some aerodynamics on this car because, like I said, it is quite fast around here. They're doing 140 at the end of the straightaways and a minimum of about 115 through the corners. So it's still wicked fast all the way around.
Yeah, these cars, I feel like, yeah, you can see the speed and you can see just how wild it is. We see the track conditions, that 81 degree Fahrenheit. You saw a car slow. There's another car slow right in front of the leaders as well. What was going on there with the 42?
I'm trying to see if I can figure it out. That's Jose Acosta. He's already multiple laps down. He's also a playoff contender. So this is really bad for him to start off this way in the season, being, 4 laps down from the leaders with that last pass that we saw. But let me check and see what happened to him.
Yeah, that was quite odd because he almost pulled up at a stationary, kind of position in front of the lead group of vehicles. That could have been a catastrophe of epic proportions. Seems like, Joe, you found out you got turned.
And it's by wit. I don't think Mike has been making many friends in this race, unfortunately. Looks like we might have the replay. Yeah, here it is.
Oh, yeah, that's a kind of turn, but Acosta, again, should have saved that. Gets into, was that Landon Mills? What a race he's having. You know, it's weird. This looked a lot easier to save than the spin that Mills got involved with for the second caution of the night, but still, those tires, they light up, and then you got to be a little bit gentle when you're reapplying that throttle. We're back to live pictures with Chris Hudson racing down the inside of that 94 machine, Nathan Deering. It's a good battle right here in the top 5, and Trent Dinkle is watching it happen. You see that 9 car just kind of creeping in the background. He's enjoying seeing these cars race side by side because it says to him, hey, they're wasting some precious life in these tires. I'm not.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why he's racing the way he is. He's a big picture thinker today. And I have a feeling he's going to be a serious threat for the win because of that, as long as something doesn't unfold that really goes against his strategy, which really at this point is probably only him not pitting at the right time, or if somebody, or if we get so many cautions that he's not going to get enough green flag laps to try and race hard. Here the 43 of Hudson, though, is having a rough time with Deering up to his outside. The others in front of him have managed to get single file, but these two can't seem to sort it out.
You start to see these extremely different lines, right, start to form. We were talking about it, expecting to see it earlier in the night, but now we're starting to see that low line, that high line really start to get to work here. I always prefer the high line, excuse me. If you're on the low line, well, it's lower banking, right? It's progressive banking at Bristol Motor Speedway. Chad Kibbe right behind Trent Dinkle. Mike Witt getting into some issues again.
You don't say.
Yeah, wow. Goodness me. That is really going to need to thank Gatorade there.
Says he got enough electrolytes tonight because he's using them up, I think, as 94 getting awful close to the wall there into 1, or into 3 rather.
So the incident limit, by the way, is 24. Cautions come out. Speaking about incidents. And, oh, man, it's the same driver starting to have these issues. That could have been bad. 24 incident points, by the way, goodness me, is a DQ, a disqualification from the race. There's no drive-through incident limit, but I have a feeling that before this race is over, we're going to start to see some drivers come up close to that incident limit of disqualification. Some are already halfway there, like Jose Acosta. Once we get through lap 112, we will be past the halfway point of this race. And here's the replay. I think it's Pruitt who gets a little bit wide and loose, and then is that
Mike? Mike again?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Well, we just said, you just said, yeah, and I just said, he's going to really need some Gatorade there.
And we got pit stops happening, so it looks like pretty much everybody is in, although I see Maverick Davis staying out.
Hey, why not? And Mike Witt.
Mike Witt's staying out to run away from everybody, I think, more than anything right now.
Oh, that's a good point. I think you're spot on with that one. Eric Papinal's staying out. So 3 drivers choosing to stay out that were on the lead lap. What do you think of that move?
I think if you're trying to get the track position, let's see, does that look like, well, actually all 3 of those drivers have been out for 22 laps. So they've all been in recently. Everybody else was on a 56-lap stint. So I actually think this is probably a good call. This will give them track position. They've already taken a set of tires. Yes, they're going to be slightly disadvantaged, but they'll be up at the front. And at least in the case of the 88, we already know he's been in a lot of issues. So he kind of needs the clean air right now. And hopefully this will help clean things up for him a little bit. I can't really attest to Davis and Papineau as much.
Well, just a few moments before that incident happened, Mike Witt was sitting at 8 incident points. I'd assume that's a 4X for him, so he would also be at the halfway point of his incident limit, halfway through the race, so he's right on that edge. Maverick Davis has been involved in a bunch of incidents tonight, but him being up front, I feel like this is exactly the moment we're going to see some speed from Davis, as long as he's able to keep these incidents to a minimum. I mean, this has been the problem with Maverick throughout all year, is that he shows speed, he's really fast, but he always is mistake prone. If he can shore that up, if he can start to be consistent with, just running clean, running consistently clean, then he could be a threat at any given race. I really think that. And he's beat himself tonight so far, and this strategy play, it might be the right one. You just got to get a good jump, because Abner Acosta, Joshua Daniels, they're all right there.
Yeah, and like I said, they're going to be on pretty old tires, so I don't think they're going to have the pace, but this is where they're going to have to start thinking about everything that's around them, as it looks like I think we're getting ready for the restart.
Yeah, we are about to go green flag racing right now. Green flag in the air, and it's a really good jump for Maverick Davis. And what you're seeing on your screen, we're back to live action. Mike Witt on the outside, getting past underneath Abner Acosta, but not completely. Witt gets into Acosta and back up to the wall. He's got to be really careful.
On the other end of things, Acosta needs to be where someone needs to get in his ear and say, watch out for that 88. He's been involved in a lot. Give him a wide berth and make sure and think about your race, not about trying to just battle him here.
So accurate with that. It's about self-preservation as much as it is to make up positions, which I guess almost helps if you're the driver that everybody's worried about, right? They kind of give you a little bit more space. Sometimes you beat yourself that way, and he's running some pretty decent lap times in second, and right up in front, Maverick Davis is utilizing that clean air really well. 14.572, fastest lap of the race. What I'm talking about.
He's picking up, and it doesn't look like those old tires are hurting him. He's keeping up ahead of Abner Acosta. He is losing Davis, but Davis is on the same age tires as he is. Remember, we're talking about a 20-lap difference between himself and those around him. I'm actually a little bit shocked. I thought he would get eaten up here.
Yeah, me too, but those cooler temperatures and just the nature of Bristol itself kind of leading to track position, especially 25-lap full tires. That's probably the absolute minimum you can go and run at the same speeds as drivers with fresher tires, right? We were talking about just a little bit ago, it was Friday. Allgaier had 30-lap fresher tires, and he struggled to get around Daniel Hemrick to win the Food City 300. He eventually did get the win, but it was because lap traffic started to play a factor. I mean, fresh tires, it's not everything at Bristol under the lights. It's a lot about track position, especially with the current Bristol, and also you got to get lucky with when you catch lap traffic.
Exactly, which sounds like the 05 is going to be a little bit of that here and be in the way for at least a brief moment watching the 52 here.
Witt just got up into the wall.
Going to blunt his momentum, but doesn't look like Acosta's able to get by. We're still watching a little farther down here, the 52 and the 94. Still racing for 6th and 7th position. They got Dinkel in there behind him. Dinkel just kind of poking his nose a little bit here and there, but not doing anything serious, along with Chris Hudson.
Really good battling right now throughout the whole field. Witt trying to save those tires, running up that high line behind Acosta. Joshua Daniels is getting a bit impatient. Goes around the outside of Paul Bergoli. Everybody's kind of running that high line in behind. If you're running the low line, I don't know if that's the right move, especially if you're struggling to get by the drivers up top. Maybe just sit in their tracks for a bit and wait for them to make a mistake.
I mean, that would be my call, but then, like I said, these are all drivers who are much faster than me, so maybe they know something I don't. And Acosta, yeah, I'm seeing him actually wiggle off the corners as well, which was my experience too, trying to run that low line. The car likes to get loose, and I think he's experiencing that. I'm with you. I think he needs to start going up higher a little and just kind of chill for a minute.
Lots of action going on farther back. Chad Kibbe, you know, he's had his fair share of contact in this race as well with other competitors, but I mean, he's lived to tell about it every single time, always running just outside the top 10, sometimes penetrating that top 10. As we see on board Joshua Daniels, Mike Witt, cautions out. There's some contact in the back, and
Easter Day
heading into the wall. Oh, Easter Day is another problem for the 95. What you see?
I see a car spinning on its own, interestingly. But again, it was coming loose off the corner as he was trying to ride low. I think a lot of drivers are going to find themselves having this experience. And yeah, wow, just real tank slapper. And as soon as it shot up to the wall, there was no keeping it off of it. And thankfully, it doesn't look like he actually didn't hit anything too terribly hard. At the same time, he's already parked it and maybe just has had a little bit too much and decided it's not handling well enough to try and keep it rolling.
Well, another lucky dog for Jose Acosta, who was 3 laps down, going to be 2 laps down. This is one of those tracks you rarely see drivers just a lap down, because if you have an incident, you're usually going multiple laps down. He gets another lap back. Mike Witt decides that's enough. I'm going to go into the pits, get a fresh set of Goodyear tires. I wonder if this is his 3rd of 5 sets on the night. Maverick Davis, though, he said, I'm pretty happy with what's going on right here. He's going to have the oldest tires in the field and will maintain the lead for now.
Yeah, this is the 3rd tire change. So actually this would be the 4th set then. So he's only got 1 more set to go, Mike Witt. I am a bit confused by this because it's still very early in the race. Now I have to check and see what our time is left that we've got. I kind of side with Maverick Davis, who decided to stay out. I think they need to try and hold on to this track position because clearly they were able to, with all the drivers who had fresher tires than them not being able to pass them that easily. Try and hold on to it. See if you can hold on to a set of tires and just keep that track position during these few green flag stints that we're getting.
I feel like the next pit stop for everybody, if there are, you know, if there is a decent green flag run, it might be the last pit stop. We're coming to, when we get back to racing here, around 85 to go. And if your last pit stop, if there's a caution with 50, 60 laps to go, next, pit there and that's it. You don't have to pit again. Unless there's 2 laps to go, and then you're in a bad situation where if you're out in front, then you kind of are sitting duck no matter what you choose. It's a hard strategy call, but you always got to plan for it to go green the rest of the way. I just don't think this race will go green the rest of the way.
Oh, absolutely not. The way that this has been running, it would be a real shocker if somehow they cleaned it up right here at the end. We've only lost a couple cars, and it seems like they're starting to get a little bit looser as it's going on, and no, it doesn't seem like anybody's really learning their lesson and trying to get back up high. Everybody's still trying to go for that low line.
About to go back to green flag racing here on lap 139 of 225. We're still making it good on time right now. Green flag back out in the air. Maverick Davis leads the way again. on older tires than everybody else. We'll see if he's able to keep taking advantage of that clean air. He did a great job last time. Abner Acosta will get clear into second. Joshua Daniels, Trent Dinkel on the outside. I think Dinkel says it's go time.
It definitely looks like it. This is the fastest we've seen him on any restarts. Already up into third, but he's got Daniels behind him. And don't forget about Rigoli, like you were saying, looking for a win in this series. Don't count out a driver's hunger, looking to try and finally break that mark.
Acosta also flying as well. Maverick Davis is trying all he can to keep it up front. We go back to that 10th place battle or somewhere around there. Chad Kibbe is again the topic of conversation, and then moving back to Davis and Acosta, his battle for the lead.
Coming back on to the front stretch. Ooh, somebody just clattered into the wall there in the background. I didn't quite make out who that was. May have been the 94, I think.
Oh, he continues on. I'm really impressed with Davis. I'm really impressed with Maverick Davis here. Again, just got to worry about completing it. He's got one more pit stop. If he can make it to around 60 or so laps to go, if there's another caution, I mean, that would be outstanding for him. And it would have been a strategy pulled off as Abner Acosta goes down the inside and won't clear. He came up a bit. Davis reacted and almost got into the wall himself. I don't think he'll clear again, though. Oh, Davis got squirrely, got loose in the rear tires, and the position is now Acosta. He leads the race, and Trent Dinkel is going to try and take advantage of those lit-up tires on Davis's 15 machine.
Yeah, and when Acosta gets up to the lead, it's pretty much good night usually. This is a driver that actually came from the roadside originally and did this over there. He would get up to the front, and nobody could catch him. Here, now that he's mastered the oval side, in fact, has mastered it for quite some time now, he kind of does the same thing, just scampers away from everybody. So this is going to be a problem for everybody else, I'm pretty certain.
Trent Dinkel trying to make a move around Maverick Davis, does just that for second place. Chris Hudson back in 8th.
Davis actually bumped into the back of Dinkel there for a brief second. He's trying to give him the hurry up for some reason. As taking a look at Josh Daniels, who's going to get underneath Davis. Davis doing what I've been talking about. He's trying to run up high.
Trying to run up high. Joshua Daniels is going to be the next in line to take advantage of Maverick Davis right now as we cross the stripe to get to lap 151 of this race. I mean, this is flying by. There is some lap traffic up ahead. That's Nicholas Collender right in front of Abner Acosta. I think he'll catch that traffic pretty quickly. Joshua Daniels down the inside, again trying to take advantage of Davis, but Davis is holding on pretty well. I mean, he held off the fight from Abner Acosta for a long time until he got loose on the exit of 4, and then Dinkel took advantage of that, but he got the tires cooled down, and again, really impressive.
Yeah, I think what this comes down to is we're seeing once things kind of get into their groove, these drivers on the older tires have no problem just hanging with them. It's a little bit tricky maybe at first because they've used up a lot of the rubber and they're trying to get the heat in as quickly as those around them can, but once they do, there's just not enough difference. And yeah, Davis is now proving to be a bit of a roadblock.
Yeah, which he doesn't mind that at all, right? He's still in the position that he wants to be in or close to it whatsoever. It's helping everyone else who gets around him. I do think it's going to cause some unrest very quickly because James O'Brien is 3-4 spots behind him. He wants to get going. The 52 of Winterhalter really wants to get around him, but he's on the outside. He's going to have to try and make a move down the inside. Almost came together with Joshua Daniels, fairly quickly, but Davis is making that car as wide as possible. Joshua Daniels is starting to lose some time from running down the bottom and using so much of that rubber up. I mean, this is impressive.
It really is. Also impressive, Federico there, now up into 4th. Looks like he's got a good handle on things. He's dropped Daniels, O'Brien's going to try and get in there, though, as we continue to ride on board with the 43 of Hudson with a front row seat to the action.
Yeah, Hudson watching this battle commence really close, and I feel like he's got to be quick to react, and if anything happens, I have a feeling that he's been saving his tires to pounce on any mistakes anyone else has in front, and that'll be an interesting kind of flow of this race. See how it ends up with now 85 laps to go. Or excuse me, I can't count. Don't you love when you got broadcasters you can't count? We're at 65 laps to go.
I always say that's not a good idea to ask a commentator to do math, but man, this is starting to get tight in here. Davis has got another challenger on his hands, and this time it's James O'Brien. He might be a bit of a different story, and he's working him hard. Oh no! Too hard. Oh, can he save it?
Will it
Can he
keep it?
save it? No!
It's going to stay under green, though. Lots of contact between a ton of cars, but Mike Witt almost lost it. Is Witt going to lose it? Caution's out now.
Vincent, I think, was the one that eventually triggered it there, got spun around. Holy cow. That was dominoes. It just kept trickling down and trickling down. That was a wreck that took, a couple years to form.
You're not wrong about that. I mean, the way iRacing works it is that if there is a car that goes around the 45 90 degree angle, then a caution will be caution will come out. If not, though, then nothing's really going to happen, and that can lead to stack ups, and that can lead to unfortunate circumstances for them all. Jose Acosta is going to be a lap down, I believe. So imagine he gets back on this lead lap. We're going to catch a replay here as the leaders come down pit road. It was a long issue, and Chad Kibbe, we're watching him from the blimp right now, and Kibbe, I think he sees stuff happening in front of him. I don't think he was the first on the scene. Yeah, stuff's going on in front of him, I believe. Yeah.
You can see it all,
and then
he's
bang!
doing his best to avoid it, yeah, but it runs out of space, and then it gets even worse. Does he get away? No. And the one is just going to clatter into him. I mean, he wasn't even moving that fast, but there was so much happening, you can't predict it all.
Yeah, I feel like, it's the one thing you sometimes want to see with cars that don't go around, but you have such a bottleneck of everybody else that you want the caution to just fly, but automatic system doesn't pick up that anyone's gone for a spin and they've just kind of lost control and backed each other up, then we keep it going. And sometimes that's true in NASCAR National Series competition as well. So do my eyes deceive me, or is Mike Witt the leader because of pit strategy?
He is the leader, and Papineau's with them. Oh, no, excuse me, Papineau's in pit lane. He was on the same strategy, but he's decided to pit. And so now, because Acosta pitted, he's behind Mike Witt. But this kind of goes back to what I was talking about before, just timing your pit stops right. And that's what Witt has done here with about 50 laps to go. He is going to have much older tires, in fact, way older than what we saw before, now up to 31 laps difference. But if he can survive, it's going to get fascinating later on down the line. That's assuming we don't have more drivers managing to take pit stops and use them to good advantage. If he stays out and the yellows fall his way, Mike Witt does have a realistic shot at taking the win, but boy, he's not going to have a lot of fans and the other drivers after this, and it's certainly going to be a banged up car that gets him to victory lane.
So before, I had no idea how to add or subtract the number of laps remaining with the number of laps in total. I mentioned that if there was a caution around 60 laps to go, we're going to go back to green flag racing, I believe, with 57 laps to go, then that's going to be the final pit stop of the race for you. Now, everyone else has fresher tires than Mike Witt. If Witt's able to get a good jump here, he might be able to hold them off for a while, but might hit that cliff. Who knows? He spins the tires coming to the green, and Trent Dinkel is already on him. Yellow's out, though.
Wow, that was fast, and Jose Acosta brought that one out, one of our 2-lap down cars. This is actually a strange one.
Boy.
He was well off the racing line, was coming out of pit lane, and he spun, and somehow that triggered the yellow. I don't think to me, he wasn't close enough up to the racing line, but the iRacing service did not like it.
Well, Acosta almost, he disconnected as well, so Jose Acosta is out of this race. He almost shook out the entire field as well, so he spun, and there was maybe room for 2 or 3 packets of 8.5 by 11 paper. We're coming to green. Leaders are taking the flag right behind. He spins and then just rolls it up almost, coming back onto the track, and I think that's what kind of triggered the caution. Even though he was off the racing line, he was still there.
Almost wonder if he exited out of this race out of embarrassment, because that's a pretty rookie mistake right there. Unfortunately, coming out of pit lane, you know you've got cold tires. I'm wondering if it's because we were coming back to green, he thought, I got to get going. Maybe he just got a little too eager and he got on the throttle. It can be somewhat easy to spin it if you go too over eager there as the banking comes up, because it does kind of gently, or try to gently ease you up into the heavy banking. But even still, the car will want to try and go around on you, and he must have just gotten on the throttle trying to think, I need to be fully up to speed as quick as possible, and the car just went around.
So let's take a quick moment to go over some of the playoff drivers who particularly are at the back of the field and see how their nights are going. Tom Macy does not get us off to a good start. He's in 16th in the playoff standings, 2 points out right now below the cut line. He's 9 laps down in 28th place. He has had a horrible night, and we see him coming into the pits right now in that 05 machine. Now it's just about trying to pick up spots from other cars who leave this race. Jay McDonald's having a decent night in 16th right now. He's going to get a good chunk of points if he keeps it up. Richard Pruitt, on the other hand, is into 14th after starting in 10th. Jose Medina obviously has had an interesting up and down race. Started 23rd, up into 12th. Those are big for the drivers currently 1 point, and all of them are 1 point back of Robert Gamble on that cut line. And Gamble is actually not even in this race, so they're going to pick up a ton of points, and Gamble's going to be struggling here in the next 2 races in the round of 16. Eric Papanow has had an up and down race as well, currently scored in 18th position last time around, while Robert B. Saul Jr. in 9th, highest of the cars we've talked about so far. Waldo Walden not in the race, so that's going to be hurtful for his plus 19 at the moment. Jose Acosta's had a horrible race as well. He's going to fall back down to that cut line. Luke Christian having a great race. Same with Joshua Daniels, James O'Brien, Chris Hudson a decent one. Pat Harvey has had an up and down one, currently in 10th. Acosta is currently leading, or in 3rd, I should say, while Trent Dinkel is in 2nd. Mike Witt will lead the field back to green flag racing. Maverick Davis, by the way, had a 30-second pit stop. We'll have to monitor him. He's currently 19th scored. Green flag back in the air. 51 laps to go here. Just 25.5 miles.
Yeah, looks like once again, Witt's going to have to try and play defense here. And he's using the high.
Oh, Dinkel!
The corner. Dinkel gets into him. They save it. I think they're going to be able to get away with it just barely.
Listen, I get that Dinkel is much faster than Witt, but Witt's still there. Dinkel just flat out took him out almost. 67's up into the wall. Pat Harvey is going to try to save it. He's up into the wall again. They're 3 wide off the corner exit. They're all squeezing each other really tightly. Oh boy.
is where those behind them are just getting a little bit nervous, and thankfully they're going to sort it out. So yeah, Pat Harvey, I think, did the right thing pulling out of that one. And look at this. Now that Mike Witt is up to speed, nobody's getting past him, but Acosta and Dinkle are absolutely running away.
I get, the need to try and get by him as quick as possible, especially when you see Acosta start to disappear in the distance and behind, as there's a daring move by Deering to try and go underneath some drivers, but still at the same time, I mean, I don't know what you think of this, but Dinkle's got to know Witt's still there. You can't just move him and almost wreck him, as we hear a spinner going on in the back, wreck in the back. The 21 is spun. Oh, and there's a big wreck after the fact. Chad Kibbe getting into it. Couldn't quite see which car that was, but that was so unnecessary, so late under the caution. And Kibbe wants to have his black flag cleared.
That was Pruitt getting into Christian, unfortunately. I think the 21 thought he was clear on the high side, and it turned out he wasn't. And then from there, the 23 of Kibbe, Bradley Moore, all just kind of had no place to go and really piled in. You're going to see it here on the replay. So watch the 21. He's going to drift up thinking that he's got some space, but the reality is there's a car there, and when they come together like that, wow. Oh, the 24 really banged into them quickly. And then the 11 was the one that came in late that you mentioned.
And then 23 said that he got pushed into pit lane, which did not happen. He kind of just went there, and he wants the black flags cleared. He did get them cleared, so he got very fortunate right there, but kind of, took out another driver doing that. By the way, just as an FYI, Trent Dinkle did profusely apologize on the radio to Mike Witt, so, no harm, I guess some harm, little foul. Apologies accepted by Mike, so that is good to see, as Mike Witt has come down pit road. I think he knew that his time was up. He's going to have pressure tires in them all, but not by much. There haven't been many green flag laps on these tires. We're talking about the 21 of Luke Christian having a solid race. That night has gone to bad right now. I believe he'll still be on the lead lap unless he was lapped at some point during this pit cycle, and I don't think he got too much damage, so we'll see how that looks. A lot of playoff drivers having issues tonight, and I think we're going to see a very different round of 16 by the time we get next weekend to Texas Motor Speedway.
One we haven't talked about a lot, the 55 of Kranefuss it was very fast in practice, didn't really have the best of results in qualifying, was 13th. It's not horrible, but he's up there now, and he's sitting in third. Could he be a little bit of a dark horse, I wonder here? Has he been playing possum, letting the race come to him? Because he's in very good company up here at the front.
Yeah, Kranefuss has impressed me. Like you said, very quiet in this race, and that 55 machine, that Ford for Rust Racing. I love how these Mustangs look in the next Gen 7 Cup Series cars, so looks pretty good. Are we seeing some strategy maybe coming to play here?
I think we are, because O'Brien is now in. And I think he was farther down. He was a lot farther down the order, which is a bit surprising for him. Wonder if he
on the lap
got
down.
Caught up and stuff. Yeah. Oh, you're right. So he must have been involved in something. And I don't think I have a sheet of paper big enough for all the notes we need for this race. So much has happened. It looks like we're double filing, ready to go.
Yeah, we are about to go back to green flag racing. I think what happened was O'Brien had a penalty of some sort and had to come down pit road or something. He never went to a pit box, and it happened under green flag condition just before the caution came out. Abner Acosta leading the way, lap 186, about to be 187 of 225. Now, you don't worry about saving tires as Hudson gets loose and up into the wall as Kranefuss is underneath him. Abner Acosta, Trent Dinkle, Joshua Daniels. Oh, Kranefuss has been spun. He went all the way up. Chris Hudson was there. I think Crane Foos just got tight, and 3 cars are facing the opposite way.
We had multiple wrecks, it looks like.
Yeah.
Let's see, with the 18, yeah, so that was Chandler involved in that one. I'm guessing that's because of the checkup, because it happened well after. And yeah, he just got ran through, unfortunately, by Callahan.
3 wrecks. You're absolutely right. Almost identical. And they all look the same. They all look the same. So again, I think that's Crane Foos coming up and not, leaving the space, as Fernando Alonso would say, and then he just kind of backs up. He gets a little kiss in the right rear quarter panel, and a few more. Gets back going. Well, he's trying to. Oh,
there is a reverse gear.
Oh, there is. There you go. Oh man.
There, finally.
We got
Wow.
it. Oh!
Spins it again.
Hey.
And he toes. He decides that's enough of that. He may have had some damage. I know we're poking fun, but maybe the car actually did have some sort of damage that prevented him from really steering it where it needed to go. That was a very sad sight to see that happening.
Austin Powers, trying to get that car turned
Never
around.
seen that on an oval, honestly.
I have not seen that on an oval. Maybe the Chicago street course earlier in the year for these cars, but not necessarily that. There was also a lot of controversy happening over the radio while we were looking there. During that first spin, the exact same thing, I keep saying that, but the exact same thing happened with Landon Mills and Nicholas Collender. Mills and Collender were arguing pretty wildly over the radio. Mills saying, I don't know what to tell you. You just came up and got yourself wrecked there. And I think Collender was saying, no, that's not what happened. Same thing on lap 183. No, they were. Well, actually, Mills was on 83. I think it was 187 for the rest of the leaders when that caution came out. Collender came up on Mills, and then there was a wreck in reaction to the car up top. Just wild stuff happening. As the winner of last night's, Bass Pro Shops night race at Bristol Motor Speedway would say. And Joe, I'm going to let you do this one.
That's just short track racing.
All of them. You hear that quote last night? That all-time quote?
No. You'll have to tell me.
Oh man, it was wonderful. Hamlin heard the boos, and I think it was Dave Burns asked him, what do you have to say about all the fans booing? He said, hey, I just beat your favorite driver. He starts to walk away. Burns asks, and who would that be? Then he just says, all of them. That's awesome. We need some heels in this PRL playoffs right now. And private label, Team Hype, they're going to try and race cleanly, but they're going to try and race hard. Lap 193, we're back to green flag racing, maybe for the final time. Acosta gets out in front. Dinkle will come down to the inside. Mira Acosta's driving. Joshua Daniels in third. Chris Hudson in fourth.
Dream rises to the top. It's all these drivers that we've been seeing who've been looking fast all night and have also been looking patient. The 94 of Deering, though, slapping the wall. I honestly, right now, Dylan, track position is going to be king, especially with the yellows we've been getting. You want to be up front, and there's another.
No. Now it's getting.
It's Witts.
It's Mike Witt again.
And he's on the radio complaining to somebody. Oh, the 21 turned him.
Well,
some severe irony there.
Yeah. We'll see it in the replay. It might have been a little bit of net code, but I mean, did Witt just spin a? What's happening here?
Yeah, he's stopped down at the bottom of the track. I hope he's not
Oh,
He's
boy.
coming back up and going. I hope he's not going to look for revenge here, because they look very poorly on that in this series. And Witt is sounding very incensed over the radio. I feel like he might be at wit's end.
Did you just...
This is what you get when you have me on the air. You should know this.
All right. I'm not gonna be too upset about that. I'll just have to warm up the pun machine myself.
You always just have to drop them very casually and just move on. That's the key.
And like what I'm doing, I'm never gonna let that just move on. I have a very difficult time of playing cool when I hear a pun. It's like when you hear a dad joke said by a kid, and your kid. I assume this is gonna be one day me, a dad joke. One of my kids says a dad joke. I'm gonna look so proudly, and I'm gonna make a huge deal about that. It's gonna be a great moment. Anyway. We're still hearing lots of discussions about, it's just Bristol, baby, right? Fights on the voice chat, and
it's been a few years since I've gotten to cover this, and I have to say, not a darn thing has changed. But I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly.
Oh man, it's just race car drivers. They don't really change, do they?
No, but we are getting our entertainment's worth. And look at the clock. 14 minutes left now.
Ooh.
We're only on lap 198. If we go green, they'll still easily cruise in under the line. But again, you have to think about the trends. You have to look at the likelihood of things. And that's why I said earlier, track position's king here, because I think we're going to continue to get these yellows, and I think you want to be at the front. So Acosta's got to watch out for Dinkel. He's going to try to start to get aggressive to take that position away.
I wonder if we get back to green flag racing, we'll still be fine. When we do get back to green flag racing, if we stay that way for a lengthy amount of time, we'll be fine. Nonetheless, do you see anyone other than Abner or Trent winning this race?
I think Daniels is always someone to watch out for. He can be sneaky on a good day, so you need to make sure and cover him off. Hudson, like I said, it's been a bit since I've been around. At the time, he was kind of just rising to the fore. It looks like since then he's really proven himself. I think Chris Hudson could be a problem, but I don't know what his recent races have looked like.
Hudson has had an interesting race for sure. Him starting second in the outside row is going to be really interesting here. It's all about that start that Dinkel has, and then Hudson's able to match. That would be impressive. Green flag's in the air. Acosta gets a big jump. Dinkel gets a pretty good jump, and Hudson, he's got a slot in behind the 77 if he can get clear. He has gotten clear down the inside. So we'll see how hard these drivers race. There's 24 laps to go as we come back across the stripe. 12 miles left in this race, and they're wrecking. This is bad. We're wrecking again. It's Chad Kibbe involved again. More drivers. Callender's involved again.
I think I see
Mike Witt.
Kibbe and Vincent, I think, are the two first. Oh, yeah, it was Witt. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Witt's
no.
Sometimes you just got to park someone.
Witt's out.
Yeah.
It truly is Witt's end, because he has DQ'd himself with that contact, unfortunately.
That's just... Kibbe has been involved in a lot of things. You saw Witt just disappear, but Kibbe has not always been the aggressor in anything, so I think it would be a little bit unfair to call him out, especially since we didn't see what started that incident. My apologies there. Witt, no idea what he's done this race. He hasn't made friends at all.
Well, I am pretty sure the stewards are going to be going over things post-race, and I would be shocked if he didn't have a sit-down afterwards, because that, like you said, it wasn't all completely his fault all the way through the night, but it's kind of the case
control.
Yeah, race control is going to have a fun one after this one. But when you have a common theme, and there's one driver that is that common theme, that's when, you know, like I said, they have a little bit of a chat, and maybe some things need to be discussed.
I would say things definitely need to be discussed. I appreciate the hesitancy on the absolute nature of whether...
I have to be diplomatic here.
You do. My style is a little bit, well, you see something stupid, call it out. There's been a lot of stupid moves tonight from behind that 88 machine. It's unfortunate because he was running well up front for a substantial amount of time, and then it just kind of fell apart. This also favors drivers who did not pit in the past few cautions. Drivers who pit probably 90, 80 laps to go. They're in a much better spot than drivers who pit with 70 or 60 or 50 or 40 or, you know, all the laps that we've also been under caution. I'm kind of looking directly at Maverick Davis, who right now is scored in 17th, and Maverick was running up front, had to pit, obviously. He hasn't had any time to put those tires to good use.
So if we go green for the rest of this race, this will be over in about 5 minutes roughly, but we've got 10 minutes left. So they really can't afford to have too many more, and they definitely can have plenty more considering we have this number of laps to go. So it's getting really tight down to it, whether or not this is going to be a timed race, and you got to pay attention to that.
That is certainly noteworthy. We're going to come back to the green flag with, I believe, 18 or 17 laps to go. Let's go 18. That sounds better. And it looks better because it's more accurate. It's going to be a lot of fun to see if we go back and stay green. I hope we do. It was a great race. And then the last 80 laps have been happening, and anger and hate. The dark side has taken over. Acosta leads the field to green. Good jump there. Same with Daniels, a pretty decent jump. Dinkel slots right again, right in line, and the top four, single file. It's an exact replica of what we just saw. Lap 209, when we come to the stripe, there's going to be 17 laps to go here. Will we make it all the way back? It's going to be a quick one if we do. You see Deering trying to make some moves in that 94 machine. Started in 26th, up to 6th right now. Federico Windsor from 12th to 5th. He's in the top 5, just behind Chris Hudson.
Look at that gap, though, between the top two. It's getting very small at times, and it does look to me, the times that I glance at Acosta's car, he is trying to hustle this thing, watch him off the corners.
Oh, I don't know if moving down the inside was the best move. He gets into Acosta, his teammate. Tries to get it recovered here, and that's going to let Joshua Daniels creep in a little bit. I still don't think that Daniels has the necessary speed to get by that 1 but 2 private label team hype machines right here. Oh, Dinkel got a little bit tight, had to get out of the throttle a bit. You see they're running the inside so heavily right now. They don't care about tires. Dinkel gets into the wall. He's going to lose maybe half a car length, but he still tries to get it going. Just like an open wheel formula car though right now. Just get it out of the throttle, cool those tires down just a bit.
To bring another famous Bristol quote in here, he didn't mean to wreck him. He just meant to rattle his cage a little bit there. I mean, he's got to be careful. Whoa, he's going to absolutely chuck it in.
Yeah.
Get to the outside of the 5.
He's doing everything he can on that outside to try and get past after Acosta. I mean, the laps are winding down right now. We're coming to 10 laps to go here. Next time by, they almost make contact again. This time, it would have been in the right rear quarter panel. Dinkel's got a good run. He thinks about the inside after Acosta cuts him off, though, and he covers him down the inside.
I mean, he's got to try that high side, so I think he's doing the right thing. Is once again, now he's going to duck down low. He's trying to dive it in as hard as he can to take the high side away to prevent Abner from being able to drift out on the exit of the corner, but he just can't seem to get the shot off the turn.
I think Tinkle is faster if he gets into clean air. It's just going to be so important for Abner Acosta as Tinkle gets into the wall again. Acosta's got to just keep him behind, even hitting the wall. Tinkle is quick. They've broken free, half a second in front of Joshua Daniels in the 77. It is a 2-horse race, 2 teammates, as we get to 7 to go here until we see that checkered flag at Bristol Motor Speedway. The round of 16 opener has been a delight between these 2 drivers.
I think that Daniels might be in the catbird seat here because this is getting spicy between Trent and Abner. And if those 2 wreck, Josh is going to pick up the win.
If those 2 wreck, remember that potential sit-down Mike Witt might be having between him and Race Control? I think Private Label Team Hype would have a private sit-down between both of their top drivers. As Dinkle gets loose on the exit of 4, he almost lost it. He saves it, but he loses. He's now 4 car lengths back. Goes up into the wall. Costa is starting to drive away. There is traffic, though. We're coming to 4 laps to go at this stripe. Traffic might play a factor here.
The way the 9 has been just wiggling everywhere, I'm pretty sure he's used up his stuff. He burned the tires, and Abner Acosta stayed cool, and he's reaping the benefits now.
James O'Brien not happy about something on the radio. I think Acosta's saying, please stay green. 3 laps to go, 2.5 as he runs down the backstretch into turn 3. Still, though, traffic may play a factor. Coming to 2 laps to go, Dinkle got those tires settled down. They're not hot as they just were. They're not lit up, but I don't think he's got the time. I don't think he's got the life in them. We're coming around 3 and 4 after Acosta is going to take the white flag here, but still 1 car of traffic left, and that's Nicholas Collender, who is 6 laps down. He's going to be in the way a bit, but Acosta just has the quicker car at this point. Dinkle sends it in one last time after Acosta will cross the stripe, will win the playoff opener, the season 4 opener. What a run! Acosta held Dinkle off. Great battle.
It's like I said, when Acosta gets to the lead, it's bad news for everybody else. He tends to have incredible pace. He knows how to wheel this car, and he showed it here tonight. Once he was up at the front, he just never gave it over.
That was just impressive racing. Just awesome. Exciting to see Abner Acosta. A playoff opener to remember for many reasons. For him, though, that was just wild. 59 laps under caution, 12 yellow flags in this race. Acosta brings it to the stripe, and he's going to burn it down at Bristol.
Yeah, he has reason to celebrate here. Excellent job, just fantastic, especially staying cool under pressure because Trent gave him as hard as he could. And I mean, the fact that someone was literally getting to that bumper and try to nudge him out of the way, and yet he didn't give it away, didn't crack, tells you the kind of wherewithal that 5 driver has.
Abner Acosta wins by almost 3.5 tenths over teammate Trent Dinkle there, and they actually break a difference of 22 wins to 22 wins. Now Acosta has moved ahead of Dinkle once again with 23 wins for sole position of 3rd in the all-time NASCAR Cup Series Sunday PRL record book. Dinkle, of course, 2nd place. 3rd is Joshua Daniels in that Chevy Camaro ZL1. Chris Hudson, the highest finisher for that Ford Mustang. Federico Winterholder, great run for the 52 machine in that Camaro. Nathan Deering will finish in 6th, was up there all night. Pat Harvey spun around, but he got going again, and will be the highest finisher for Toyota in this race. The SGE Pioneer machine right in front of the SGE Ironman machine of Eric Papineau. Robert B. Saul Jr., the Prestige Worldwide Ford Mustang, will finish in 3rd. The top 10 is rounded out by Jay McDonald in the 35 D-Block machine. Richard Pruitt in the 924 will finish in 11th. Maverick Davis recovered pretty decently to finish in 12th. An up and down race for him. Probably, I think, he'll want more, but I think out of all the issues he had, he'd be happy with that 12th place finish. 8 tenths behind him is Chris Vincent. Jose Medina in 14th. Lou Christian in 15th. He would want more out of this one. Same with James O'Brien. Private Label Team Hype. That would have been great for a 1-2-3. Could not get it done Bradley Moore in 17th with Regan Chandler in 18th. Chad Kibbe, the only car a lap down. First car not on the lead lap in that Toyota machine. And Park Hilliard in 20th is 4 laps down. Past Park, it just gets increasingly depressing with Nicholas Collender in 6 laps down. Craig Foose, who had some great runs, will go 21st, 22nd for Rush Racing, 7 laps down. Landon Mills, 9 laps down in that MPR machine. Tom Macy, 10 laps down. Tristan Callahan, 21 laps down. Tommy Brandon, 23 laps down. Paul Bergoli, who qualified on the pole, and we thought he'd have a shot to really compete for the win, but after the first 25, 30, even 50 laps, he kind of fell off the map. Mike Whipp, 26 laps down. Jose Acosta, 29th. And Colton Easterday in 30th. 31st will be William Brennan and Edward Sanchez, dead last, 170 laps down. Trent Tinkle with a time of 14.438 set on lap 209. He was digging, he just could not get it done. What a race, what a battle. I believe it's time we should bring in the race winner and get Abner Acosta into the broadcast booth. Let's get him mic'd up momentarily. And we got Abner Acosta with us right now, driver of the private label team Hype number 5 Camaro ZL1. Abner, have you caught your breath yet?
Yeah, I have. It was pretty scary at the end there, especially with that slight contact. But yeah, glad I was able to get that win there.
It felt like, you know, at least for in that last restart, that for the first 15 or so out of the last 21 laps, Trent had maybe the faster car, but you just held the bottom so well. You feel like that's the reason you end up with the checkered and he does not?
Yeah, I do think he probably had better pace than me. But yeah, I felt like, I don't know if he hit the wall at the end there, but it felt like he might have made a slight mistake. He just was never able to catch up. Maybe he burnt his tire because I saw him run the outside as well. Maybe heat them up a little bit, not sure. But yeah, he was definitely quicker from the start there, and then I was able to kind of stabilize there at the end.
Now, with this being the playoff opener, obviously you're already a fairly good bit in. This is gonna advance you to the round of 12 automatically. I don't think you had much to worry about, but does it at least give a little bit of a nice state of mind, a nice frame of mind to know that no shenanigans whatsoever can keep you out of that final 12?
Yeah, no, it does. Getting wins, it's not as easy anymore with Trent and Landon. So honestly, super surprised I got this win. I just didn't want to sit back there saving tires or doing anything. I just want to clean air, and apparently that worked with all the cautions and everything. But yeah, it's good to get the win. Not have to think about that too much, and kind of just concentrate on pace in all the races, and go forward from that.
Before I let you go, I asked you at the end of Season 3 what you thought about Trent tying you with all-time Cup Series PRL wins at 22. Well, now you're, maybe one race ahead with 23 wins, third all-time in the PRL Sunday races. Make sure you let him know that. We'll let him know, too.
Yeah, I'll let him know, Trent's super difficult to beat, so we'll see. I'll make sure I enjoy this whole week. And before I leave, I also want to thank Trent and Private Label, James, and everybody. They're the ones that do the homework for all these races. And I want to give a special shout out to CM Pennington. He's having a tough time battling cancer. Hopefully, even if this, have a special paint scheme that I'm going to run on Wednesday. And hopefully this, even if it makes him feel better, even 1%, that's good enough for me. So hopefully he's watching. I think he said he was going to. So this win, I guess, was for him. Yeah.
Our thoughts are with CM as well. I think he'll have a smile on his face seeing you take the checkered flag. Congrats again, Abner.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Joe, that the competition from everybody else, has just been so massive. From not just Trent, but also Landon Mills, who was competing for that season 3 title. It's wild though that he's able to keep it fast and keep it strong and keep those wins coming.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, he's up against a guy like Trent Dinkle, which is hard to race against, as we saw. Trent, you were trying everything there at the end, but did you run out of tires? Because it looked like eventually the car just started to give way on you.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have had to have moved Abner. I mean, that little contact we had was my fault. He just drifted up, and the devil on my shoulder was like, stick your nose in there, but I hit the brakes when I realized there wasn't big enough for him, so I'm glad I didn't wreck him. But yeah, I just wish I wish people would have just a little bit more patience in the back half of the field, because my plan was to come in and run a few tenths off pace for the first 30 laps, and I'm sure you guys saw it that first run. I walked everybody, but then everybody's 2 brain cells are fighting, and it just turned into a caution fest. And then I was still trying to save when I should have just followed Abner's lead and pushed. But it's still a good race. I definitely second as better than what I expected coming in tonight. So yeah, not a terrible race. Just I would have liked to have won, but definitely congrats to Abner on that one.
Absolutely, and definitely, giving to your teammate as much as you can without taking each other out. It was always ideal to try and at least bring both the cars home.
Yeah.
Do you guys have much communication during the race itself in those situations, or is everybody kind of in their own world?
We're always in Discord with each other, and obviously I was like, well, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but I wasn't going to be like, hey, you have to let me by or something, like that. But if we're at a situation where he's way faster than me or I'm way faster than him, I was trying to keep him and James a little bit calm, because I know my early strategy was a little bit aggressive on the slow side, but it worked so well. That first run, it was like 30 laps, and I was already basically passing for the lead, and then I was still running slower than I even wanted to, and me and James were driving away from the field. But and like I said, you get that one caution, and we still have 175 laps to go, and everybody's like, oh, the race is about to end, so we're just gonna wreck each other every 30 laps because we don't care about anybody, and we just joined in here, and other people are trying to be in the playoffs, but those guys don't care. So a little frustrating in that aspect, but other than that, it was definitely a good night.
Yeah, it's understandable. Coming to the end with all the cautions that were coming, did that add another sense of urgency for you to get by Abner, knowing that you needed to take whatever you could to try and get that track position?
The problem is with the restart zone is I have to be so careful, because I do kind of get a hint at when we're going, but I have to be super careful that I don't accidentally hit the gas pedal first, and I have to have a certain amount of overlap between our cars or I get a back flag. So I was just taking it extra easy, and on a short track like this where there's really no I can't chase him down with draft or anything, it's kind of hard to pass somebody when we get a bunch of restarts like that. I think if maybe we would have had 2 or 3 less, I might have had a little bit better of a chance, because I know Abner didn't practice a ton this week, and I think I had a little bit more practice pushing hard like that. But then when we, that final restart, we only had 15 laps. You just have to throw them up on the dash and run every lap at 150%. So, and I got a little loose coming out of 4 that one time, and I just kind of backed it down, so I didn't wreck and still finished second.
Well, congratulations, a well-earned podium today, and thanks for the excitement out on track.
Yeah, it was a good one. We'll see you guys next week.
It's Trent Dinkle, P2, and he was followed home by Josh Daniels, who, as I said, was kind of sitting in the catbird seat back there. We're going to hopefully get to chat with him here in a second, as Josh was definitely hanging around the top of the field for much of the race. So you see the 77 on screen there. And Josh, congratulations on a podium tonight. But watching those two fight as hard as they were in that last stint, were you just kind of licking your chops thinking, oh, almost?
Yeah, Dinkle, he was hanging it out there, man. I was just hoping he didn't tear it up bad enough to cause the guys behind us to catch us and take a podium away from both of us.
It definitely looked like this was going to wind up a race of strategy. We heard Trent talking about saving his tires, and we saw that there was a lot of caution, so you had to make the right timing on the call of when to come in. When prepping for this, what was your theory going in? Did you have a set situation of how you wanted to try and play your race out, or were you going to just kind of go with things on the fly?
Well, in the A Opens this week, a lot of times strategy won. It didn't matter who was fast, and that's what I was scared of. I know I had a fast car, and I was just hoping that I was on that winning strategy with guys, but it didn't seem like it really came down to strategy at the end. I don't think it did.
It's going to open up the speed next week, and hopefully maybe take away some of the cautions when we go to Texas. Are you looking forward to that track? Think you can maybe step a little higher up on the podium there?
Well, it helped me having 2 weeks to work on this setup. I only have a week to work on this one, so we'll just have to see. Texas isn't one of my strong places, but I'm catching on pretty quick.
Well, best of luck when we head on over there, and excellent job tonight. Like you said, it looked like you had a very fast car.
Yes, and I'd like to thank all the guys over at Love Racing. They helped me work on this setup, and my wife, she's a big part of our team. She orders all of our shirts and hats and all that stuff. She spots for me and takes care of me and all that while I'm racing. And I appreciate PRL for putting on a good league and RaceSpot for putting on a good show.
Well, thank you very much. That was Josh Daniels finishing third. Dylan, that was our podium.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, that was a great discussion. Not sure if anyone heard me. I thought I was holding down my push to talk, but that was a great discussion with our podium finishers. Next week, September 24th, same day, same time, 8:30 p.m., Texas Motor Speedway. A lot of people don't love Texas Motor Speedway, but guess what? You got to race there anyway against everybody else, and you got to win that race if you want to advance into the next round, the round of 12. Fun times at Bristol Motor Speedway. Had a great time watching Abner Acosta put that number 5 Chevy Camaro ZL1 into victory lane here at the track that, well, it's just the last great Coliseum. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dylan Coyle. I'm alongside Joe Peak for the rest of this Season 4 of PRL Cup Series competition. Join us, well, pretty much every single day of the week, night of the week, for more PRL competition on RaceSpotTV. For now, so long, good night, and good racing.